Radio MD. RadioMD.com. The tips, tools, support, and inspiration you need on your wellness journey. Rewired Radio with Erica Spiegelman.
Welcome, everybody. Everyone is looking for ways to reduce the amount of stress in our lives and for healthy ways to distress when we're feeling overwhelmed or anxious. An alternative way of de-stressing is to learn how to heal yourself through sound. My guest today, Gabriel Braun, is a sound healer and musician who helps his clients unlock the potential of sound therapy and also something known as sound baths. Sound therapy can help with body awareness, deep meditation, relaxation, all of which are vital when managing the stress in our lives. Gabriel, welcome to the show. I'm so excited to have you on and have you, teach and tell us what is sound therapy.
Thank you so much, Erica. It's wonderful to be here with you and with everyone.
Yeah.
And I'd like to start by actually inviting our listeners to just take a deep breath with me. And before you do that, what we'll do is we'll hold our breath in for a few seconds, and then as you exhale, see if you can make your breath audible by making a sigh of relief. And the sound is like a ah, something like that. So Together, let's take a deep breath in through our nose right now.
Okay.
And hold it all the way in for 3, 2, 1.
Cool.
And so as you'll hear me explain in just a moment, so much of sound therapy is experiential, and we ourselves are like what I call human instruments, being that on a cellular level, we are made up of atoms, and these atoms, as science now shows us, are vibrating. And so as we can tune into the sound of our own voice or the sound of specially tuned instruments that transmit a certain frequency of sound, it allows us to tune at a greater level or deeper level in with ourselves and with our bodies. And in doing so, it definitely helps to deal with the most two common things are high amounts of stress and anxiety that people experience in their day-to-day world and lives. And I would say also, it can really help people who have trouble meditating get into that more meditative, calmer state of mind, and even dealing with things like chronic pain, children who have autism, just helping people become more clear and focused, and dealing with everything that happens in life, as we're bombarded by this crazy and also amazing world that we live in today. Yeah,
that's wonderful that you are spreading this awareness. And I know we both work with treatment facilities. We both have worked at treatment facilities and still do. But you know how there's some people that feel a little silly making sounds, or a little bit, like hesitant that they're going to, nothing's going to work, or they're going to, people are going to look at them strangely. So how do we get over that stigma of just being self-aware and self-conscious?
Absolutely. It's a great question.
Don't you find that there are people out there that, Yeah,
yes, absolutely. Well, I would say the main thing is music is one of the most incredible expressions of sounds and is a universal language that we all respond to. And even though not everyone is necessarily musically inclined, you will find that most people really connect to music. So I always include some kind of experience with music in the sound baths or the sound healing sessions that I do. When I talk to people about sound therapy, I'll say, well, for example, what is it about classical music that really helps people to be more creative or to focus their mind? Or what is it about, someone who sings a beautiful ballad that brings us to tears? What is it about it? And when it comes down to it, it is the sound, the vibration, the intention behind the lyrics and the instrumentation of the music. So this is something I find that most people, if they're skeptics, they really they start to loosen up a little bit and open up more to this idea. And I will say one other thing too, that sound therapy itself, although it might seem like this kind of new thing that's being embraced, like yoga and meditation, it's been around for thousands of years. And witch doctors in Africa would use drums to create these trance-like, almost meditative-like states for people to heal from illness and to revive their spirits, to even the Tibetans and the Tuvans who would use singing bowls and overtone chanting. I mean, it's all over the world, and it's been going on for a long time.
Right. It has, and it's something that I think does resonate deeply with everybody at some level. So I think that's a great analogy that you allow people to kind of go there in their minds and their hearts first, and try to hopefully open their minds and hearts at the same time. How can you tell us a little bit how you have gone into this? Because I know you've studied so much. You're a yoga instructor, you're a life coach, you're a musician. You just came out with a CD, but what has inspired you?
Absolutely. So when I was about 16 or 17 is when I was first introduced to yoga and meditation. And I remember going to this class, and after we had done the physical component, the stretching, the asana, the teacher asked everyone to lay down in resting pose or shavasana. And during that time, he and his partner began to play some music, and they played not only this beautiful and enchanting music, but they also invited people to kind of sing along or chant with them. And I remember at first it sounded a little kind of foreign, or I was a little uncomfortable. And then they expressed, don't worry about if your voice sounds pretty or not. Like, just let yourself feel the music or feel the sound from inside of you. And I remember having this experience where I, was going through a really hard time in my life, and it was like I kind of, for a moment or a few moments forgot about all that stuff and got completely lost in the sound and the vibration itself. So that's really where it began. And there's a lot more to be said, but yeah, that's how it started for me.
That's amazing. I love to hear what has inspired you, because you have touched so many people and helped change so many lives, which I know personally. So I really like to hear where the inner knowledge comes from, or the kind of, the kind of moment where it hits you that this is your purpose, and this is something that, you can use not only for yourself to heal, but for others, to heal. I think that's really fortunate for people that get to have that experience. So.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. So tell us. Yeah. Well, can you tell us, the audience, where to find you and how they can begin to tap into, the work that you do?
Absolutely. So the easiest way would just to go onto my website, which is www.gabrielloganbraun.com. And there I list where I do events, and I basically do events in the greater Los Angeles area right now. A lot of time on the west side, Santa Monica, Venice, but really, I'm really starting to branch out and do stuff all over. So that would be the best way to get in touch and find out more about what I do.
Okay, good. And then you have your music also.
Yes. As you said earlier, I recently released 2 albums, one of which is a sound healing album, and the other of which is a world music album, both healing music. And they can find this on my website or on iTunes, searching Gabriel Logan Braun. Yep.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for being on today with us. And I just think it's such a way for people to kind of tap into something that they may never have tapped into, in terms of, learning how to relax and de-stress in healthy ways and not turning to anything that could possibly be negative. So I appreciate you being with us. You're listening to Rewired Radio on Radio MD. I'm Erica Spiegelman. Thanks for joining us, and stay well.
Radio MD. RadioMD.com. From sobriety to self-care, it's Rewired Radio. Here's Erica Spiegelman.
Welcome, everyone. Every human being is a unique combination of energy and vibrations. Today, I'm welcoming sound healer Gabriel Braun to discuss how we can use music and sound to tap into the emotional vibrations in our brain. When we feel upset or anxious, it may be because the experience is recalling previous trauma to our energy and vibrations, but we do have the power to heal ourselves if we understand what's happening internally and find new ways to connect with more positive energy. Gabriel, welcome to the show. And how can we be attentive to our energy and vibrations so people can tap into that? Yeah.
Great. So one thing I wanted to mention from before is that sound therapy specifically addresses the human nervous system as well as affecting our brainwave states. And so when we understand that, oftentimes if we're dealing with something like anxiety, we're in our sympathetic nervous system, which is the fight and fight response for people who don't know what that means. And basically we want to get into parasympathetic, which is homeostasis, resting, being able to relax and calm ourselves, right? So depending on the, if we are vibration and our cells are vibrating at a certain frequency, that means that basically we can use sounds to target different densities, which all vibrate at different frequencies in our bodies, and meaning that if you start to slow down the sound, or it's a lower pitched or slower sound, you start to feel it in your tissue, your muscle, your bones, and then all the way into your cells. And certain sounds make us connect with different parts of our physical body. And as we know, emotion, energy and motion, right? We experience emotion as energy, and we experience it in our body with that kind of psychosomatic or mind-body connection. So when we have a feeling of anxiety, usually it's not just the thought of it, it's the feeling, right? The feeling. Right. And as I like to say, don't just hear, listen. And that deeper listening can happen when certain sounds are used from, crystal singing bowls, the didgeridoo, the human voice, tuning forks, etc., to help people reconnect with this human instrument that they are, so that they can start to become more aware of where they're storing these things and help the energy flow, help it move, help to restore that balance.
Yeah, this is such important information that you're allowing the audience to hear, because I think so many people, when they feel sadness, let's just go to the lower vibrational emotions. Maybe they feel sadness, they feel anxiety, they feel anger, pain, or fear. They don't know what to do with it, and they just kind of sit with it. And as we know, that's what causes disease. That's what causes, our bodies to be inflamed. And so if people could understand that all of this, all parts of ourselves are connected, that we could heal those frayed nerves, we could heal where we're holding that negative energy. So how do you begin to explain to people that negative emotions are natural and they're normal, and not to necessarily run from them? Like, we have to learn how to embrace all of our emotions, correct?
Correct. Yeah. What I share with people is that, you are perfect through all of your imperfections, and that there's something about having dysfunctions or having issues or challenges or emotions that allow us to grow and evolve as people. And as you say, there's nothing wrong with having judgments or negative emotions or feeling sad or depressed. I mean, it's just a part of life, but it's not what happens to us, is how we respond to it, how we deal with it. So one of the things I always share with people is just really invite them to include their experience. And a lot of times you can't necessarily control everything you're going to feel, but you can start to train yourself as to how you, kind of respond to your feelings and how you deal with those things. And sound healing or sound therapy is a great tool, as far as how you deal and how you approach these things.
Right.
So there are specific ways too that I can definitely get into as well.
Yeah. So for anyone that's listening out there now, I'd like to introduce what sound therapy is to them, which we've been talking about. What can they do today to begin to create a routine or create a pattern of using sound therapy? Because I know that there's, a lot of clients I work with that just say like, I intellectually understand that I should download that and do this, listen to it, but I can't seem to get into the habit or the rhythm of it. And for people that really want to include something like this in their lives, what would you recommend they do?
Absolutely. Well, the first thing is kind of what we started the program off with, which is your breath. Your breath is, the human sound is the breath made audible. And your breath is how you really connect with your senses and how you become more present to yourself and to this human instrument. So I would say start with using your breath and literally just starting with a sigh. Like if you yawn, if you sigh, people aren't going to think you're that weird, right? So you can something that people who might maybe be a little bit more reticent or have that insecurity about, being heard or this kind of thing, can just start with that. Just start by taking some deep breaths and letting yourself sigh and actually see if you can feel where the sound is vibrating inside of you. So whether that's your chest, your throat, your abdomen, that would be my first suggestion. And to do that every day and to do it from anywhere from, a few seconds to a minute or two,
Right.
I always really encourage people, especially if you live in a place like Los Angeles where you can drive, 30 minutes and you're on a hiking trail, you're by the ocean, to take time to draw upon nature and the sounds of nature, like the ocean waves and the blowing of the wind in the trees and the bird calls and that kind of thing, to really help them to tune in, And then also for people who you play an instrument, or even if you're not musically inclined, but like you can buy like a crystal singing bowl. You can use something like a didgeridoo or even a flute or something that has this very kind of natural sound, but deeper resonance that you can feel the vibration in your body. And if you do play music, to just continue using the instrument you play and really connect with it in this kind of healing way. So, those are some things that you can do yourself at home. And then I would definitely encourage people to come to a live sound bath. Listening to the music definitely does do something and is helpful. But when you have that live experience, you really can feel the vibration in your body in the room. Yeah.
Yeah, these are fantastic tips, and everything that you're saying is really about being present, like being mindful, being in the moment, which I know for a fact helps everybody. So when you're no matter where you live anywhere in the world, you could go into a forest or on a hike or with the trees, or if you're by the ocean, or if you're in the middle of a farmland, sit in the grass somewhere. It's, I think we forget how valuable and how just naturally cathartic nature is.
Exactly. And there's something you said about being present, which is that because we live in such a fast-paced world and we're on the go so often, it's really hard for us to slow down. And so our nervous system's moving quickly, our mind is moving quickly. So literally doing things like going into nature and listening to the sounds and slowing down and taking time and listening to, this healing music or whatever it is, that really can help us kind of press our internal reset button,
Yeah, that's amazing. Well, Gabriel, thank you so much. So everyone can find you at GabrielLoganBraun.com, correct?
Yes.
GabrielLoganBraun.com, and on SoundCloud, right, as well?
Yeah, SoundCloud, and also I just want to say that I also do private sessions with people, which is helping them to open up their voice and doing private sound baths, etc. So if you're interested, yes, please let me know.
Yes, please do contact Gabriel. He's one of the best out there to help you individually as well. Thank you so much for being on and sharing your vision and sharing, the work that you do. It's so important, and I'm so grateful for having you. So thank you. You're listening to Rewired Radio on Radio MD. I'm Erica Spiegelman. Thanks for joining us today, and stay well.